Illinois Gaming Machine Operators Association President Michael Gelatka is on the line. He's going to tell us about 2 years of video gaming here in Illinois. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're doing very well. Thanks for being on the show this morning. By the way, let me steer people toward your website, IGMOA.org. IGMOA.org, Illinois Gaming Machine Operators Association. And there's a lot of interesting information there, including the fact that video gaming has been good for Illinois.
Absolutely. I think in the last 2 years, it's brought, hundreds of millions of dollars into the state coffers, probably $33 million into municipal coffers, and even better, almost $250 million into locally owned bars and restaurants and vet clubs.
Now, Mike, the rollout started slowly back in September of 2012. It was delayed for a bit. You had some large communities decide to opt out, Chicago and unincorporated Cook County. But as you mentioned, the revenues have picked up and locations have increased, certainly. What's been the reaction that you've heard from various municipalities around the state who have, embraced video gaming thus far?
Well, I think the slow rollout actually began with the strict regulation that the gaming board was putting on video gaming. So they've rolled everything out pretty slowly in order to make sure nobody's in that they don't want in. But we've had a lot of municipalities opt back in since the beginning. I know a lot of the Rockford municipalities were in early, but there were a lot of areas that wanted to feel it out and kind of had to get over the hump and realize that there isn't a rise in crime. There's no crime associated with video gaming, and that, frankly, the revenues that it's bringing into local businesses and the local economy are beneficial.
All right, Michael, we started the rollout in 2012, as you mentioned, slow rollout here, 61 machines. Where do we sit now?
Well, we're about 18,000 machines in about almost 4,400 locations throughout the state.
Michael Gelatka with us. He's the president of the Illinois Gaming Machine Operators Association, talking about video gaming on the 2-year anniversary of the first terminals becoming available here in Illinois. Locally here, we do have some concerns, or I should say aldermen and other officials have some concerns about the number of video game locations that have popped up. In fact, Rockford City Council last night was discussing this, that there might be too many video gaming licenses, too many video gaming locations in the city of Rockford. Loves Park had similar conversations too. Generally, I say, the market's going to decide how many video gaming locations there should be. If it's oversaturated, things will eventually work itself out. Have you seen this being a problem in other locations? What's your general philosophy toward the number of locations in certain areas?
I think the association and the industry is not harmed by, localities taking a moment, taking a breath, and analyzing what's best for their town. The Video Gaming Act itself allows for towns the ability to regulate and grow video gaming through their local control of who and what people receive a liquor license. So that seems like that's exactly what Rockford is doing. As far as, are there too many machines? I think every locality and every municipality has a feel for what's too much or not. But the reality is even in Rockford, with current machines, there's about a 1 to 400 population. There's 400 people for every one machine. If you even go to the state of Oregon, who runs machines that are similar to ours, but they're put out by the lottery. Now, Oregon, nobody thinks of that as some high-volume gambling state, but the reality is the number of terminals that they have out there is in the ratio of 1 to 319 people per population. So I don't think that you've necessarily reached some over-exaggerated saturation point by numbers, but I think it's good for towns to reanalyze where they're at and then hopefully pick it up again.
Spending some time with Michael Gelatka. He's the president, Illinois Gaming Machine Operators Association. Their website, IGMOA.org. On your site, you talk about Illinois hitting the jackpot. You mentioned revenue. Let's talk jobs for a little bit. Jobs, saved, created through video gaming?
I think a lot of both. I think there's people in my business that have, increased the number of employees. There's people in the locations, your local bars and restaurants absolutely have increased the number of employees. But I think as much as increasing employment, the video gaming has saved a lot of employment. There's location that I have near me that I spoke to him. His name's Tony, and he said for the last 5 years, the last 7 years, with the increases of taxes on liquor, with the smoking ban in the bars, and the general downturn in the economy, that he was down to working the bar himself. His wife was working part-time. His son was working part-time at the bar, and they weren't able to do any repairs on their building. Well, with video gaming, the first tens of thousands of dollars that he received went directly into repairing the building that he hadn't done in 5 years. And in addition to that, now he's not working full-time. He's not working at all, so that's an additional person that he had to hire. And his wife and his son aren't working part-time either at the bar, so that's more employment. So it's smaller, but the spider web is huge.
Mike Gelatka with us, president of the Illinois Gaming Machine Operators Association. It's Riley and Scott on WROK. There was some legislation, Mike, and I don't recall if it got signed, but it was in terms of expanding video gaming to truck stops. Truck stops could have more video gaming units, but at the same time, it also was going to restrict the definition of a truck stop because there was a little bit of weirdness and funny business perhaps on those gas stations who wanted to be called truck stops so they could have these video gaming machines. Did that legislation get through?
No, it was never brought all the way to the floor. So it never made it all the way to the floor. I think it was mostly a timing issue more than anything. But I know that Senator Syverson from your area was working on something, trying to make some changes in that, and we were open to speak, and we worked with him to, try to come up with some good guidelines that weren't, I think part of the problem is we didn't want to do it very quickly and have unintended consequences. We didn't want certain locations that, should have video gaming to somehow be left out of video gaming because of the wording of a law.
All right, Mike, what do you, the way things have gone within the first couple of years, give us an outlook. Look down the road maybe 3 years. Well, what are we going to say after 5 years of video gaming in Illinois?
I think as you look further down the road, I think that more towns in the state will opt in. They'll realize that video gaming isn't the harm that everyone had feared. I think that the locations that even have it now the towns will be able to take that money and, put it to good use. And the locations that are now, like I said, trying to just get on their feet, and they're still, that money will then go even further into the community. The Veterans Clubs, the American Legions, which have used that money to get kind of even, are now going to be able to spread that money out into the communities even more so. So I think that regulatory-wise, I think towns will start to see what they have, and they'll be able to make adjustments and allow things to move forward. And I think that video gaming is here, and I think it's going to be a positive. It's a great thing for Main Street and for local entertainment.
Mike, before we let you go, I did want to ask about casino gaming expansion. This bill has been brought up again and again. It has not got through. The governor's vetoed it in terms of additional casinos in Illinois, in Rockford and Danville and a Chicago casino. Do you think what's happened in the 2 years that video gaming's been available has helped the effort to expand casino gaming? Has it hurt the effort to expand casino gaming? Does it have an impact one way or the other on what might happen with that gaming expansion bill that is perennially proposed?
Well, I think that video gaming has done a good job of picking up any unserved demand. And I think that video gaming does something that the expansion of casinos does not, which is it spreads out the earnings to a lot of small towns that never received a piece of the pie under the original riverboat structure. And I think the same thing may happen if Rockford were to get a boat. How does that affect all of the surrounding areas pull from video gaming? I think there's things that can be done with video gaming that will maximize the income to the state, and even more so, keep the money in local businesses, locally owned businesses and smaller municipalities, so that the money that's spent by their citizens come back to them.
He's Michael Gelatka. He's president of the Illinois Gaming Machine Operators Association, IGMOA.org. Mike, we appreciate you taking time for us this morning.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.